This is going to be my last review, requested by a Rowdy Ruffman, and it is of Return of the Living Dead Part 3, directed in 1993. Brian Yuzna is the one who directed it this time. And what it does is it takes a really different approach to the franchise. It's not a comedy horror no longer. It's more of a romantic horror. You know, Melinda Clarke plays Julie, and Trevor Edmond plays Curt, who are basically they're lovers. You know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Trevor is the son of a captain or whatever, a colonel rather, played by McCord, who kind of gets in with Julie's character, who's somewhat of a bad influence. She thrives on death and like, she's not an evil person, but she thrives on death. She gets off on it. You know, there's even a scene where she's having sex and all she can talk about is seeing a zombie shot in the head, which comes to my next point. This actually explains what the hell it is that was going on between 1 and 2 and why they were transporting those canisters. Like, it's briefly mentioned in the first one that they were using it for military experiments. This is where we actually get to see that, because Trevor's father happens to be one of those people that are involved in seeing this. Like, basically, they're testing zombies to see what their actions are and if they can actually control them enough to send them out into into the world to fight for the military, basically. We also get James Callahan as Colonel Peck. He's most famous for being I believe the uncle in Charles in Charge. After the show was canceled after one season, it was rebooted again, but with a new family, and he was like the uncle or whatever. I forget his name, Mr. Powell or something like that. And then we also get Sarah Douglas as Lieutenant Colonel Sinclair. She's most famous for playing Ursa in the Superman and Superman 2 film. She was also in Conan the Destroyer, and other stuff. But this film is actually very good. I actually enjoyed this film a lot, and it's definitely a step up from the second film, which was good on its own merit, but it does so much more. It gets right back to developing some well-known characters. You wind up caring about the characters. There are bad characters in the film, bad guy characters that you were meant to not like. There's Mike Moroff as Santos, Fabio Urena as Mogo, Pia Reyes as Alicia, Sal Lopez as Felipe. You won't really get to. I mean, you'll know those guys when you see them, but they're not really like, oh my god, somebody to remember. Except that they're, their characters, basically what happens to them and everything. Basically, what happens is Trevor and Julie, they sneak into one of the bases, and they see what happens to the zombies, and how they're killed and everything. And after having so much needed sex, the father walks in on them and demands that his son start to act proper and this and that, and and he winds up running off, and she's so impressed by him standing up for himself that she kind of starts to she starts to kind of feel him up, and this causes him to get into an accident that breaks her neck. So he basically goes back home, grabs his key card, grabs his father's card, and sneaks into the building to resurrect her. What they didn't stay to see in the beginning was what happened to the people that are affected by the gas, which is that they turn into zombies. And so she slowly starts to turn into a zombie throughout the film, but she still has mad love for Trevor. So she finds other ways to keep herself from feeding. But eventually, obviously, she has to. And others are turned into zombies as well. Like, this isn't like a situation where there's a nearby cemetery and everybody starts to. No, it's just her, and through the actions of what they go through, we get more zombies eventually. There's a great climax at the end, but what really kind of holds it to me, and I actually tried to look for this so I could put it on this video, was the ending. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet in a really sick way. You should just watch the movie to find out. This is what I would say is the true ending of the Return of the Living Dead franchise. 4 and 5 are just, okay, let's cash in. This is, even the ending of this film is a closure to the series. I think that's what it was meant to be, was a closure, and this did it very well. I have not seen the unrated version. I've only seen the theatrical version of this film. I'm not 100% sure the difference. Probably just more gore, which really doesn't need. It's a good film as it is, and I think more gore would hurt it more. But I would definitely give this a 4 out of 5. It's definitely better than Part 2, and it's just as good as the third film. Basically, it's kind of like Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead was much more serious than Dawn of the Dead, which is why a lot of people were kind of offish on it. This is the same reason. It was more serious, and it took a different tone than Dawn of the Dead did, so people at first did not really respond well to it. But along the years, you find out it's a good balance. You get the comedy horror, then you get the comedy, then you get the horror, or the more serious horror. It's a good balance. So definitely check it out. 4 out of 5. I'm gonna try to attempt to find 4 and 5 just so that way I can knock those out of the park and see what the hell's going on with those. They look really stupid. Probably not gonna give them a very favorable review. Hell, I might even review them together, which I don't normally do. But stay tuned. I'll see if I can get another review off tonight. And I will talk to you guys later.